And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee.
Because all the blessings that we're going to get, which is entailing the kingdom of heaven. Isaiah the 60th chapter, I'm going to start at the 10th verse and read on down. It says, and the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. So the sons of strangers, that's talking about the actual strangers, the other nations, shall build up thy walls. We're going to have them in slavery. So they're going to be building the kingdom of heaven, because we're not building nothing. We're not lifting a hand to move nothing. It says, for in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles. That's talking about the actual Gentiles. We're going to take all of their substance, and that their kings may be brought.
And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee.
For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish, yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. Verse 13, and the glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, the box together to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. So the land of Israel, the land of Jerusalem, is going to be made glorious. It's going to be made glorious once again. The kingdom is going to be built up. We had a taste of that during the time of Solomon's reign, which was for about 40 years. Verse 14, the sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the sole of thy feet. And they shall call thee the city of the Lord. The word Zion means monument, the monument of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shall suck the breast of kings, meaning we're going to take all their substance. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord thy power, the Lord and thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. For brass I will bring thee gold, and for iron I will bring thee silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron. And I will make thy officers peace, and thine exactors righteousness. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders, but thou shalt call thy walls salvation, and thy gates praise. The sun shall no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee, but the Lord shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and the power thy glory. The sun shall no more go down, meaning our kingdom is not going to go down. In other words, once we get back in power, we're going to be in power forever. The sun is never going to go down on our kingdom again. The sun is never going to set on our kingdom. We're going to always shine, and we're going to always be in that glory once we get into the kingdom of heaven. There's no more going back into slavery under the other nations. Esau's not going to rise back up and put us in captivity. Ham, Japheth, Ishmael, none of the other nations are going to rise up and take us down ever again. When we get on top this time, we're going to remain on top. Neither shall thy moon withdraw itself, for the Lord shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended. So no more mourning, no more crying, no more vexation of spirit, no more weeping, no more hopelessness because of the condition that we're in as Israelites right now. Verse 21, thy people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever. The branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. Verse 22, a little one shall become 1,000. This is in the kingdom. So what is this talking about? We're going to have sex. Again, like I said, The two-thirds that are going to pass in this destruction, the two-thirds are going to come back through the one-third that make it. The Lord said, two-thirds shall be cut off and die, and the third will I bring through the fire. It says, a little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, the Lord, will hasten it in this time.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Makakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. All right. And what I want to get into this morning, this morning news and prophecy, another World War III update. And want to go into the perspective of, we're just getting started. What we're seeing is the opening act, okay, of this third world war, okay, in which you have, these small heads, America and Iran. Well, this is just the opening act, okay, because there's still prophecy that has to happen, Jacob's trouble, civil unrest in America, the MOTB. Okay. So while the world war, is underway, okay, has started, well, you still have other prophecies that have to be fulfilled. So we have to understand that the scriptures say this is the beginning of sorrows. Okay. So what we're seeing with Iran and America, they can go on at this pace, for months, a year. They can do this for a year. They can go back and forth with these exchanges for a year. Now, Tel Aviv, okay, they ain't gonna stand a year of this, man. Which we got some videos gonna get into that. But you can have America and Iran because the whole thing was Iran was preparing itself for war with America. All right. So Iran will stockpiling missiles, okay, to go toe to toe with America. All right. You can't match America as far as their Navy, okay, and the Air Force. All right. But when you talk about missile arsenal, Iran can go toe to toe with America in their region because America is so limited because they're so far away from their inventory, their stockpiles, okay, which are in America. Okay. So the stage, all right, what we're seeing now, this is just the opening act because you still have other nations that's going to get involved. All right, it's going to get drugged into this war. So we're seeing the beginning. It's just the beginning. Okay, Iran and America face off is just the beginning. It's going to continue to escalate. Other nations are going to get, more involved. Okay, and it's going to continue to build up. All right, until you get to that point of just, hey, it's just going to be a nuclear exchange. Just like this, real quick. All right, this is Matthew 24:8. It said all these things. It's a brother Warriors of Yahushua 144. It says Matthew 24:8. All these are the beginning of sorrows, man. Okay? Because now what we finna see is they finna settle into this war. Okay? And Iran was always playing for the long game. America thought this was gonna be quick. No, this is gonna be an extended conflict between America, these small hats, and Iran. Okay? America was playing for the short game. Iran played for the long game. Okay, and now America is being forced to plan and strategize for the long game. Okay, they're scrambling to do that. All right. Well, what we're seeing is the opening act. And these things are going to escalate because you're going to see more nations, getting involved. Because, like right now, you already have Russia and China and Turkey. Okay, was this heavy? Turkey is sharing intelligence with Iran. Okay, see, Iran had the arsenal, but one of the things that they was lacking, all right, was intelligence. Okay, because they didn't have access to the satellites like America did. So now with Russia, China, and Turkey, Iran has access to satellites that they didn't have access to, and that's why they're able to put missiles on so many precise targets. You gotta think about it. Iran with this new intelligence, they was able to put a drone inside the same room with CIA, all right, agents. The hotel, the actual hotel room that they was in. Okay, you have analysts saying that Iran was able to put a drone in their room. Because we talk, it's casualties on both sides, but see, Iran is killing more military personnel. Okay, which when you go into a war, you want to you want to you want to kill. All right, when it comes to war, you want to take away people that's going to have an effect on the battlefield. Okay, so or you want to take out assets that's going to have an effect on the battlefield. Okay, now American, they are taking certain assets away from Iran. Okay, but there's nowhere near the assets that Iran is taking away from America. All right, but you have top CIA heads that have been iced. You have certain Israeli heads that have been iced. You're not going to hear about that on Western media. Okay, but Iran, because they have this new web of intelligence now, they're able to be more precise. Now they're able to start taking out Israeli scientists and Israeli top leaders and generals. They're able to start targeting them. Okay, CIA officials. Okay, CIA heads. Okay, because they have this intelligence that they're getting from Russia, China, and Turkey. So Russia, China, and Turkey is already aiding Iran. Okay, but it's stages to coming into the war because you have information sharing, which Russia and China, which they've supplied Iran with arms. Okay, they supplied them with arms, defense hardware, and they're supplying them with intelligence. Turkey, they haven't provided any arms, but they're providing intelligence. Then you have North Korea. They just announced, like, look, we ready to join in. They told Iran just say the word, the kings of the east. Okay, so now the next phase, because you got China now, they sailed a navy vessel, okay, close to Iran. All right, and they say that's mainly for them escorting their oil tankers, okay, to China. All right, but that increases the chance of conflict between America, direct conflict between America and China. Okay, so what we're seeing is a lot of movements. All right, and one false move, one false missile, one wrong missile strike, one wrong target. All right, can draw another nation fully into the war because you have these nations in the background. All right, aiding. Okay, Iran. All right, but if this war goes on, they're going to have to get directly involved. So you can see China and Russia, they can bring in warships to help defend from American attacks. Okay. But then once Russia and China, if they do any offensive attacks, they're fully in. Okay. Or if America attack them for defending Iran, they're gonna be fully in. So we're right here at the door of all these nations being drawn in. It can go so many different ways just throwing it out. But let's get some precepts, and then I got a few videos I want to get into. But we're just getting started. And in the midst of all this devil, he gonna come with an MOTB plot twist, somewhere in the game. All right, because the elites in the background, all right, and they're formulating, okay, how we're going to implement, because the Strait of Hormuz, okay, that's going to have a global impact on the economy. Okay, so how these elites are going to spend it, we'll watch, But let's go here. But ultimately, the nigga finna lose. All right, because Esau, uh, He gonna throw the MOTB in the game because really, what this devil did, he signed off on his death certificate. When he started this war, that was his death certificate. Okay, and when he makes this MOTB mandate, that's it because that's the only thing stopping this war from going nuclear is he got to mandate that MOTB. You know, Jacob Trouble, all right, the MOTB mandate, the civil unrest, which that's all intertwined. Okay, but let's go here real quick. Proverbs 5:21. This is the NLT. It said, "For the Lord sees clearly what a man does, examining every path he takes." Okay, so everything Esau, all right, these elites, every agenda, every counsel that they have, all right, the Lord is fully aware. All right, these devils are not doing nothing off script. The Lord is not reacting, all right, to what the elites are doing. Okay, the elites have walked into the trap that the Lord has prepared for them. All right, from the beginning. This was the Lord always when the Lord established Esau in power, He established a trap at the end of his rulership. Okay, so all this wickedness Esau has done leading up into this time, he was walking himself into the trap that the Lord had for this man from the beginning. Okay, examining every path he takes. Okay, every way that Esau can try to go, it leads to this man walking into this trap, and he don't walk into the trap. Okay, and the fact that this devil in the midst of this, he has his MOTB agenda. Okay, that he wants to roll out in the midst of this. That's part of the trap because once he make that thing mandated, there's nothing that's stopping this war from going nuclear, man. Okay, it says, an evil man is held captive by his own sins. They are ropes that catch and hold him. Okay, so this devil, he's held captive by his own wickedness, man. Okay, this is the scenario Esau has created with all his scheming and plotting and wickedness and enchantments and constant wars. And he created this mess, man, and now it's working against him. You see, now he done entangle himself because he got all this shit going on at the same time. He done entangle himself. Okay, and he's not gonna be able to get out of it. Okay, because what you seeing now, these devils, they're trying to get out of certain situations. You see, because they don't know how everything. Esau, all right, he's not all knowing. Okay, so certain moves that he's making. Okay, he has blind spots, man. Okay, so certain moves that he's making, he's getting reactions, okay, that he's not planning for. Certain things that he does, he's still getting the desired outcome on certain things. But then there's certain things he's not because now we're in a time where these things are working against this devil, man. Okay, it said he will die for a lack of self-control. He said he will be lost because of his great foolishness, man. He will be lost because of his great foolishness, man. This man is foolish to even try what he's trying to do. This is dumb. Okay? This is complete stupidity what this nigga is trying to do. Okay? When you really look into what this man is trying to accomplish overall, it's stupidity. Okay? And for the longest, the Lord has allowed this man to be generations ahead of everyone else. But what has happened, prophecy done walk this nigga down. Okay? Prophecy done walk Esau down. So now prophecy is in the mix. Okay? So his agenda, anything that this devil has that don't links up with prophecy, man, is failing. Okay? Anything that this devil has planned that's not linked up with prophecy is beginning to fail this man. All right, and we're watching it real time, and it only gets worse. Okay, because this is just the beginning of America and Babylon being embarrassed, man. Okay, so let's go here to Proverbs 11. Okay, this is Proverbs 11. See, what we're finna see now is the Lord begin to punish the wicked, okay, and reward, okay, the hopeful elect. You see, this is the phase of prophecy we're entering into, where now we're gonna going to see the fruits of Esau's wickedness, okay? And then we're going to see the fruits, okay, of the hopeful elect. Okay, that's what's getting ready to play out. All right. So Proverbs 11:3 said, honesty guides good people. Dishonesty destroys treacherous people, man. So all this treachery is biting them in the ass now, man. All this scheming and plotting and dishonesty, this play, he got this going on, that going on, he got this scheme. He gonna do a coup on this country, kidnap that president, kill this president, kill this guy, replace him with this, all this treachery and wickedness that this man got going on, okay, is going to destroy him. He got too much going on, okay? This man, he believes his own hype. He believes that he is, okay? And the Lord is showing, nigga, you not. You limited as hell, okay? The Lord is showing the earth, nigga, you just a man, okay? This nigga is just a man, okay? Verse 4 says, riches won't help on the day of judgment. Okay, so no matter how much military might this nigga got, no matter how much wealth this nigga got, no matter how much technology and how advanced his AI is, nigga, that shit not gonna help in the day of judgment. The Lord is finna show you, nigga, the AI is an idol. Don't give a damn if you made it. All right, speak. Okay, and here, nigga, it's still an idol. Okay, it's still helpless against the judgment of the Lord. It said, but right living can save you from death, which the hopeful elect. All right, the Lord hasn't, blessed us. All right, to be obedient, to have faith and be obedient to Him. Okay, and it says the godly are directed by honesty, the truth. Okay, we're directed by the truth, man. We move according to the truth of the matter, man. Okay, and the truth of the matter, man. You devils are getting ready to be removed from power. Okay, it says the wicked fall beneath the load of their sin. Yeah, it's too much on them. Esau done put too much on himself to try to pull off, man. He can't pull all this off he got going on. It's too much. And we're seeing this nigga knees buckle under all this weight. That's why I said he knoweth that he had but a short time. Okay? If someone has a short time to do something, and especially something urgent, how they're going to be moving frantically, man. Okay? So this nigga is starting to buckle under this load of trying to pull all this off, man. Okay, all this wickedness, all right, that he's trying to pull off in the earth at one time. Okay, he's buckling under that load, man. All right, and this the point. Verse 6, it said the godliness of good people rescues them. The ambition of treacherous people traps them. Okay, his ambition has him trapped, man. All this wicked ambition and treachery that this man, all right, has is trapping him, man. He got too much wicked ambition, man. His plans and what he wants to do in the planet Earth, how he wants this technocracy, the digital enslavement of humanity, the complete control, okay, of creation, okay. That's a wicked ambition, all right. And in his quest to pull this off, he done trapped himself, man. Okay, because he's limited. He's not all knowing. He's not all seeing. Give a damn how much technology, how many cameras he got. He's still limited. Okay, he's not one. Okay, he's not one screw away. He just got to tighten down one screw, and then he's equal with the Most High. Nah, man, he's far from that. He's far from even trying to attempt to be the Most High, man. Okay. And everything that we see happening is the Lord is beginning to make mockery of this man and embarrass this man. Okay. Yep, verse 7, it says, when the wicked die, their hopes die with them. When the wicked die, their hopes die with them, man. Okay. So the Lord is killing this man's dreams. And the Most High is playing dream killer for Esau, man. Okay. And his pride, he gonna move like he still got it. He gonna, and he still got certain plays. And because really all this nigga got left, he got one more rabbit to pull out the hat, this MOTB, and then it's over. Okay, he gonna pull a MOTB rabbit out the hat. Okay, and then it's over with. And the Lord gonna really get busy on his ass, man, when he do that. Okay, and who's ever meant to take the MOTB, okay, hey, the Lord's gonna allow this devil to roll this out, and people gonna take it. Okay, it's gonna be implemented. Nigga might buy a few tacos. Nigga gonna go to White Castle. Nigga first MOTB stop Popeyes. First purchase with a chip. Nigga gonna get that 3-piece and biscuit with the digital coupon. Well, it ain't gonna go too much. It ain't gonna go too much past that, man. And then the Lord gonna allow this war to go nuclear, man. He out of here, man. Okay. It says the godly are rescued from trouble, and the wicked. It says, and it falls on the wicked instead, man. Okay. So the Lord's getting ready to reward the hopeful elect and punish the wicked, man. Okay. And the Lord's getting ready to rescue, okay, his remnant, all right, the elect of his people, man. Okay, so let's go from there. I got a few videos I want to get into. Okay, kind of give an update of what's going on. All right, because right now what we seeing, the war, they settled in, so you're just gonna see these back and forths, and so now that we know where we at, all right, as far as the war, what's going on, so we're gonna go into a few things, but now, all right, we just keep our eye on, okay, who's gonna be activated next, because this is global implication. The Strait of Hormuz, they really turned this thing to a global implication. And this is all strategy of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. Okay, the Lord is a man of war. Okay, so all this war strategy that we see happening, well, this is the strategy of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. Okay, he knows exactly how to get all these nations involved, man. Okay, so let's go here. Let's play this, because what we have happening now. Okay, so America, they're bombing the hell out of Tehran. Okay, and Iran, they're bombing the hell out of Tel Aviv. So as America is pummeling Tehran, all right, Iran is pummeling Tel Aviv. Okay, and Tehran is much bigger, and Tel Aviv, they don't have, all right, a capacity to keep taking this pounding. There's talks, there's speculation that they don't ask for like a 5th ceasefire, and we're going to go into why that could be true. Okay, but Iran told them niggas at the beginning, like, look, if we lock up this time, nigga, don't ask for no ceasefire. Because the 12-day war, they got a ceasefire. And even Iranian people, they didn't like that they did a ceasefire, last year in June. But I got another clip from my Iranian, he's an insider. He's in Iran, he's a journalist, so he's an insider, and he's a historian in Iran too. So we'll go into some things that he was saying, showing you that there's a spirit. This you gotta see everything spiritual, man. The Lord been preparing these nations for this, all right, this final war, all right, this third world war, man. The Lord got a spirit had a spirit on all these nations to prepare for this war. Okay, so let's play this.
ساعة بساعة ولحظة بلحظة من الميدان. يعطيكم العافية.
Because while the Americans are trying to explain away their downed jets, the Israelis are literally trying to dig their people out of the rubble. The Iranian retaliation, dubbed Operation True Promise 4, has been nothing short of devastating. We are seeing videos circulating on X, verified by geolocation, that show entire city blocks in the greater Tel Aviv area engulfed in flames. The Iron Dome, David's Sling, and the entire Arrow system, the so-called most sophisticated air defense network on the planet, were overwhelmed. They were not just...
Whoa.
What's that?
I just built a budgeting app in Base 44.
Guys, Nina just built an app.
Impossible.
Nina can't code.
Interesting. Can it generate reports?
just bypassed. They were exhausted. To understand how Iran is achieving this, you have to understand the math of modern warfare. Hitting Israel with a missile is arguably one of the hardest military tasks in the world. You have the Jordanian air defense network that acts as a forward picket for Israel. Then you have the Israeli Air Force patrolling with F-35s and F-15s, acting as airborne shooters, picking off threats over foreign territory before they get close. After that, you have the layered ground-based systems. Iron Dome for short-range rockets, David's Sling for medium-range cruise missiles, and the Arrow system for exo-atmospheric ballistic missiles. It's a fortress, but a fortress is only as strong as its ammunition supply. And that, right there, is where the tide has turned. Iran has been waging a war of attrition, not just a war of territory. Over the past week, Iran has launched wave after wave of combined drone and missile barrages. Some are cheap, slow drones designed to bait the Israelis into wasting expensive interceptors. Others are hypersonic missiles that the Arrow system struggles to track. By saturating the sky, Iran has forced Israel to fire its most expensive munitions, the Arrow and David's Sling interceptors, at a rate that is financially and logistically unsustainable. An Arrow interceptor costs around $3 million per shot. An Iranian hypersonic missile? A fraction of that. Now we are seeing the result. Israeli interceptor silos are running dry. The panic in Western capitals is so acute that it is almost palpable. I want you to listen closely to this next part, because it reveals just how desperate the situation has become. The United States is now engaging in a global scavenger hunt for ammunition. Reports out of Seoul confirm that Washington is in active discussions with South Korea to strip American forces stationed on the Korean peninsula of their interceptor missiles. They are looking at pulling Patriot missile batteries and the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense (THAAD) system, leaving South Korea exposed to the north just to plug the holes bleeding in the Middle East. Even European command stocks are being raided. The U.S. military-industrial complex, for all its bluster, cannot keep up with the pace of this war. They are running out of bullets to stop Iran's barrage, and the Iranians know it. This is why the rhetoric from Tehran has shifted from defensive to ominous. They are hinting at the knockout blow, a final overwhelming salvo that would permanently collapse Israel's power grid and destroy its ports, changing the geography of the region forever. And while the West scrambles for bullets, Iran is parading its trophies. There is a specific psychological warfare angle here that is driving the Pentagon insane. In the streets of Tehran and Qom, the Islamic Revolution, IRGC, has put the wreckage of American and Israeli drones and missiles on display. They are holding them up like hunters showing off pelts. For the domestic audience, it is a massive morale boost proof that the resistance is working. For the international audience, particularly in the Arab world, it is a signal. It tells Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and the Gulf states, look at the Americans. They cannot protect their own multi-billion-dollar jets. How can they protect your palaces? This is shaking the foundation of U.S. alliances in the region to its very core. How is Iran doing this? How can a country with an economy strangled by sanctions possibly thwart the combined air forces of two nuclear-armed nations? The answer lies in the ground, literally. Iran has learned the lessons of Saddam Hussein's Iraq and Muammar Gaddafi's Libya. In those wars, the U.S. achieved air superiority in the first 48 hours by destroying aircraft sitting on open runways. Iran decided years ago that they would not make that mistake. They built missile cities and underground air bases. The most famous of these is Eagle 44, a base buried so deep inside a mountain that even the U.S. Air Force's GBU-57 bunker buster bombs would struggle to reach it. From these hidden silos, Iran launches its air defense missiles in what can only be described as an ambush. They wait until the American or Israeli jets are deep in the mission, low on fuel, and confident they are safe. Then, they roll the launchers out of the tunnels, fire a quick salvo, and roll them back inside before the enemy can even calculate a counter-battery trajectory. It's a game of whack-a-mole that the U.S. Air Force has not been able to solve. The IRGC has turned the entire country into a hedgehog, spiky, hard to bite, and likely to choke any predator that tries. So, let's address the elephant in the room. Here we have the
So what you have now You know, because like I said, Iran been preparing for this war for a long time, and they've studied and see when America's at war all the time, what you do, you give people a chance to study you. So everybody knows America's war doctrine by heart. They know what they're going to do. So they've been planning to counter it. Okay, and this is why America is having such a hard time because they went in with their same old, all right, war strategy, and now they've been countered at every turn. And this is why you see they don't really have an answer. Okay, because overwhelming force ain't getting the job done this time. Okay, because they planned for this. All right. Well, Iran has America, on the ghost hunt. You see, they blowing up Tel Aviv and killing civilians, and and they're I think they sunk a Iranian warship a couple of days ago, but they're not destroying Iran's capability to retaliate. That's what it's about. You can destroy. Tehran is a city of 10 million people. Okay, you can destroy the whole city of Tehran and all the 10 million residents of Tehran. They're still not gonna stop Iran from being able to retaliate. That's the whole thing. They can't stop Iran from retaliating. They can't stop Iran from going on the offense. Okay, that's what they're trying to accomplish. You see, because Iran is 90 million people. So you destroy 10 million in one city. Well, it's plenty of other cities, and you still got 80 million more people. Okay. And like I say, we can see an exchange like this go on, for months, even a year. It can go on a year plus with these exchange like this, okay, between America and Iran. Now, what I want to show real quick, because there was always talks about Iran running out of munitions. I mean, not Iran, but small hats in America running out of munitions. So I want to show this real quick. All right, because Iran has introduced, new weaponry to the battlefield. Okay, so let's play this real quick. And I want y'all to see something different, you know. And brothers, as you see these warheads coming down, I want y'all to tell me what y'all noticed the difference between all these other videos that's been coming out. All right, with these Iran strikes on Tel Aviv and Israel. I want to see if y'all see what's different in this video than all the other videos. Let's play this.
A fresh wave of Iranian missile strikes has shaken Tel Aviv, with reports indicating the use of cluster warheads in one of the most intense bombardments yet in the escalating Iran-Israel conflict. Missile trails lit up the skies over central Israel as blasts and fires were reported across the city, raising fears of a dangerous new phase in the confrontation. Israel's Channel 12 reported that fragments from incoming missiles fell across Tel Aviv and nearby areas, triggering a large fire and causing major material damage. Eyewitnesses told Anadolu Agency that at least 3 locations in and around the city recorded significant destruction following the strikes as emergency teams rushed to contain the fires. Iranian reports describe the attack as the 21st wave of Operation True Promise 4, launched by the IRGC Aerospace Force using swarms of drones and Kaber missiles carrying cluster warheads. Footage from central Tel Aviv suggested the missiles fragmented mid-air, releasing multiple high-velocity submunitions designed to overwhelm Israeli defense systems like Iron Dome and David's Sling. According to Iranian military officials, more than 2,000 drones and 600 missiles have been launched in over 20 waves of attacks since February 28th, targeting Israel and Gulf regions hosting US military assets.
Overall, including the 20th wave of Operation True Promise 4, more than 2,000 drones and over 600 missiles have been launched against U.S. positions in the region and Zionist targets in the occupied territories, and further attacks against the enemies of our country are still continuing. The constant sound of sirens and the prolonged confinement of residents in shelters in the occupied territories over the past 100 hours of war demonstrate the sustained and managed pace of Iranian projectile launches as part of a severe retaliation against terrorist criminals. The cowardly military forces and equipment of the Zionist regime have hidden among civilian and public layers, but the detection and strikes against the aggressors continue. And in the coming days, the intensity and scope of the attacks will increase.
20 waves of attack.
So let me see what brothers put. Yeah, okay. That's good. Yeah, that's good. It says the missiles are scattering mid-air. All right, creating greater damage than one missile could cause by itself. Exactly. So that's one thing. So they have this one missile and then they break up and scatter. Okay, so now it's causing a broader damage to Tel Aviv. Okay, because they're bringing Tel Aviv to the ground. You know, different analysts are saying that Tel Aviv is beginning to look like Gaza. Okay, so that's one thing. What brothers say? They look like UFO sightings. Yeah, they do, but those are warheads. All right, those are just those multiple warheads. Because those nukes going to do that too. When they shoot those nukes, they're going to break apart and have those multiple warheads that's going to spread throughout America. Okay, but I want to see. Let me see if I can get to a good one.
Since February 28th, targeting Israel and Gulf back as the 21st wave.
So what I want y'all to see is that the main thing I want y'all to see, there you go. There you go. No interceptors. There's no interceptor missiles. You see? No interceptor missiles are stopping these missiles from coming in. Tel Aviv is wide open. There's not one interceptor missile that went up. Okay? So now Iran is getting everything they want through. Listen, Iran could destroy the state of Israel today. Okay, Iran has the firepower, but they know that they will escalate to they're not ready to escalate. Okay, because they know they will still have to deal with retaliation. Okay, so they'll rather go for this long war of attrition. Okay, but Iran could destroy Tel Aviv today with the firepower they got, and they don't got no munitions, or they're saving them. Okay, but it's another video. I couldn't find it. I seen it pop up, but it said everything is getting through. I couldn't see it. Okay, but what you seeing when you watch these videos, that there's no interceptors going up. You see, there's nothing stopping what Iran is sending through. Okay, so Tel Aviv is wide open, man. Which you can believe, man, that they done made requests for like a fifth ceasefire, man. Okay, but Iran told them niggas, man, once we get started this time, okay, this is it. So let's go here. Iran wide open, man. I mean, Israel wide open, man. Israel was Iran was preparing to go to war with Iran. I mean, with America. Okay, Iran was preparing themselves to go missile for missile with America. Okay, they could destroy the IDF today. Okay, before your lunch break, it'd be done. You see, if they like he was saying that they're talking about the knockout blow, man. They already got a strike package. All right, they can just hit the button and and Tel Aviv and everything hype for all that to be done. But they don't want to escalate it that far yet. Okay? They want to keep on just breaking it down. Because they're dismantling, all right, American military hardware. Okay. So they don't want to escalate to that point. Okay. Well, I say we just getting started. I say we are just getting started, man. And if the small hats in America having this much problem with Iran, okay, when with Russia, China, and Turkey hit the scene, it's over. Okay, and the Lord just got these kings canceling each other out. Okay, the Lord is breaking down the West. You know, the West gonna be breaking down. You know, they're gonna be firing back. Okay, but ultimately, the Lord got these kings just canceling each other out, man. Okay, so let's go. I got another video. Let's play this real quick. Let's go here.
I love when people would say to you, Colonel.
Yeah, let's play this. And then for Brother Could get that in Ezekiel, I think that's 38. And get that in Ezekiel 38 and 10. Oh, Ratazah. Yeah, let's get Ezekiel 38, 10, and 11. So let's play this real quick while Brother pull it up.
A colonel who led men into battle, for crying out loud, and who has sources, deep sources within the United States military, more than any of us sitting here on this table, or anyone who's like probably watching right now, unless there's some sort of keyboard cowboy that we don't know about. But to say to you that you're wrong about what Iran's missile capacity is, you've been studying this for decades, and their ability to sustain this. You've laid out many times on our show. So I guess I'll just ask you straight out, is there a way that we could actually beat Iran short of a nuclear weapon?
Well, I think the bar is very low for Iran. All Iran has to do to be victorious, if you will, is survive. That's it. That's all they have to do. Continue to lob missiles, continue to launch drones, strike back if we come close to the country in whatever way they can. They've managed to maintain command and control. They've dispersed their forces. Those forces are surviving. They seem to have a very large supply of missiles and drones, contrary to what anybody may think. So all they have to do at this point is survive. Now, what do we have to do to win? That's the real question.
Right.
I mean, you listen to all this bombastic nonsense and hyperbole from the president. We're the greatest. We have the greatest force in the world. Okay, fine. It's the greatest in the world. What are you trying to do? Well, regime change really hasn't worked very well, has it? You managed to kill the supreme leader. That simply galvanizes the population against you and Shiites worldwide against you. So I don't think that's helped very much. They've developed a good succession system. So if anybody is killed or wounded and taken out of action, they have plenty of people to step up and take over. So if we're not going to regime change this forcibly with bombing by trying to bomb everybody out of office, what are we going to do? And I think what we're trying to do is destroy Iran and cause the society to disintegrate. And we're desperate. We're grasping for straws. We're trying to get the Kurds to go in to create havoc. I see evidence that we're milling around and causing trouble in Azerbaijan that may result in a resumption of the war there between Azerbaijan and Armenia. At the same time, the Turks aren't very happy about our aspirations, since the Kurds, of course, want to build a state at their expense and the expense of Iran. And the Turks and the Iranians are already sharing intelligence.
The Turks and Iranians are already sharing intelligence. Okay, because America's, their speculation to get the Kurds involved, which the Kurds are a natural enemy to the Turks. Okay, so America, their speculation about CIA training, the Kurdish troops and get arming them, for some type of ground invasion in Iran. Well, all that has done has activated the Turks. So like, this is why I got that information from. The Turks and Iranians are already sharing, all right, information. They're sharing intelligence, man. So the Turks are already, like I said, these nations you got nations in the background that's helping Iran. Okay. And as this war escalates, they're going to come more and more to the forefront. Okay. He stepped into the trap of his own destruction, man. He stepped into the door. Ain't no getting out. Okay. All right. Hey, you see? Prophecy ain't gonna let this nigga out the car, man. Okay? So now he done stepped and took now every move, every idea that he got work against him. Because it's just a speculation. He was trying to do this with the Kurds. Just based off speculation that activated the Turks. So even this nigga having a thought out loud is working against this nigga, man. Okay? Yeah, damn, little Trey trying to get out of the car. He can't.
So if our goal is to destroy the country, I don't think we're going to achieve that. But if we came even close to it, I think we're going to end up dealing with the Chinese and the Russians.
Yeah.
And that's something I thought we wanted to avoid. But then again, we thought that was the case under Biden, and it turns out that Biden crossed all of his red lines almost immediately, sending everything he said he wouldn't send and risking everything he said he wouldn't risk. Looks like Donald Trump wants to do the same thing.
Right. There is an option for President Trump to save face and say, look, we got the Ayatollah and we got a lot of bad guys. We're pretty happy. We're walking out of here. The problem is that it doesn't seem to be Donald Trump in the driver's seat. It seems to be President or Prime Minister Netanyahu, that it's Israel's will that we are bending towards. So if we walked away now, we probably would be led like a dog right back here until I don't know what. So it has to be disastrous. And yet we can't really get a true picture of what the Americans are being asked to do, even though we're funding it. And I notice, because I follow your X feed closely, it helps me to cut through the bull. But you got a lot of turds now who are pushing back on you. And I didn't see this before because the pro-war faction, the pro-war bots are out. And I notice you're taking a lot of stuff for telling the truth now. That tells me something,
That tells me you're over the target, Colonel.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, if you object to waging war with uncertain purpose and unattainable goals, then you're viewed as a traitor. I mean, that's obviously you don't support what's right and good. But I think Americans are smarter than Washington thinks. And I'll be frank, I don't think this is going to lead anywhere. I don't think President Trump is going to tow the battleship Missouri into the Persian Gulf and then repaint the name on the Missouri to the USS Trump and hold a surrender ceremony there for the Iranians. I don't think that's going to occur. I hope we can get out of this without ending up in a major war with Russia and China.
Well, you hope in vain. Okay. You see, everybody has this speculation about Russia and China. See, we know what the prophecies say, man. Okay.
Without blowing up the entire region. The entire region is pretty much blown up as it is. But I think what's going to happen is that over the next several weeks, war fatigue is going to set in. I think we will take more casualties than we've taken thus far. And I think President Trump may be in real trouble. He may not finish his term.
And they want Trump out of there, man. But let me load up this next video and read these precepts. But this the last one I got. All right, so this is that the Iranian journalist that I was listening to yesterday. Cue him up. All right, but what we're seeing with Iran, they're just dismantling, okay, all those defenses that are set up, okay, in their region. Okay, this is Ezekiel 38 and 10. This is the brother GMS, either one or wide. All right, this Ezekiel 38, 10 and 11 said, "Thus said the Lord power, it shall also come to pass that at some time, all right, that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought." And this is speaking of Magog, which is Russia, man. Okay, because eventually Russia is going to get directly involved. Okay, you know, they played a major part in bolstering up Iran, okay, to this point. All right, and now we're going to see Russia eventually get more involved, okay, as this thing continues to escalate, especially if the tides begin to turn, you know, as if America is getting the ups on Iran, because this is just the beginning. You know, Iran came out strong, okay, but you know, hey, America can pull some tricks out the hat, all right. And if it looks like America is on the brink, okay, of breaking Iran, all right, Russia and China, the Lord got it set up to where they can't let that happen because of how much they depend on Iran, okay. So it's gonna come a point, man, where the Lord, all right, is gonna Russia's gonna take off the gloves, okay. May God gonna take off the glove, okay, and they gonna get active with the West. See, like I say, Iran is just an appetizer, man. Russia and China, North Korea, Pakistan, India, Turkey, these kings of the East, when they come forward, they gonna come, man. Okay. Well, all these things are, you know, in the making, but the devil still, you know, it's gonna be the MOTB plot twist in the mix. Okay. But it says, "And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages." Okay. Now, this is speaking of the land of Israeli small hats. Okay. And we are seeing that Iran is making this place an unwalled village. Okay. And also, to America, all right, they're gonna, because they know, like, once they make their mind to take these small hats off the map, they gotta take America off the map too. Okay. They know when they make their mind up, because see, everybody is seeing that the small hats are the problem. That's why you had that Marine, okay? You know, he was going crazy, like, look, man, we tired of fighting Israel wars. Okay, so everybody is coming to the conclusion that these small hats are the problem of the earth. Amalek is being isolated, man. But see, Americans joined to the hip with Amalek. So they know once they make their mind up to destroy these small hats, they gotta destroy America too. Okay, it's an and one. Okay, yeah, they come as a combo deal. Okay, and America's unwalled. America can protect itself from all the missiles that's getting ready to come. All right, at one time to America, man. Okay, it says, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages, man, because you gotta understand, these nations are watching closely to this play out. And they looking at America, they looking at the bully with a bloody nose. They're like, wait a minute. Okay. Then they seeing Iran is taking down all these defense batteries because America has 11 THAAD missile defense systems in the earth. They said just from different sources that Iran has destroyed 3 of them already. That's why they having to pull other missile defense systems from other places in the earth. Okay, from the South Pacific, even some from Europe. Okay, so how you think these nations feel? Well, goddamn, what you know? Because America has all these different agreements with these nations based on security and economics, but now it's looking like, nigga, y'all can't uphold y'all end of the deal. Okay, y'all can't secure these trades, y'all can't secure free trade. Okay, and y'all can't secure nobody. Y'all can't protect nobody. Okay? So all these bad deals that America have made, all the treachery that America has done throughout the earth and made these nations dependent on them, now they're being looked at as incompetent, man. Okay? And they're seeing Iran break down, all right, the defenses. Okay? So Russia's in the background looking like shit, this the best time. You know? You think, because Russia know exactly what's being broken down. They know exactly what's being hit. They know exactly, okay, what Iran is doing. So it's gonna get to the point to where, hey, the West gonna be for the taking, man. These small hats in America gonna be for the taking, man. Okay, it says, I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them, all right, dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. Okay, no defense, man. They're gonna be defense, and we're seeing a glimpse of that. Okay, it don't take much to where they run out of munitions, and they can only manufacture 96 a year. That don't keep up with the pace that these nations can go. If you think Iran has a stockpile, what type of stockpile you think China got? What type of stockpile you think Iran got? Turkey ain't been at war like that. What type of stockpile you think they got? Okay, so those missile defense systems are utterly useless, man. Okay, they can be overwhelmed and they can be destroyed themselves, man. That's a frail covering, man, that America has put throughout the earth, man. Okay, you know, it made these promises like they got it figured out. Nah, man. Okay, so let's play this. I want to play a little bit of this guy here.
The more dangerous element. But I say, because at the end of the day, the danger is while Iran is capable of fighting back with Israel through its missiles, and Azerbaijan and America, Britain and France are joining. But when you have like internal fight as well in Kurdistan and Balochistan, maybe over long.
And wanted to be even more aggressive. So with Ayatollah Khamenei and his martyrdom, some people say this, and I don't know because I'm not an expert on the internal situation, but some people say that, you know, Jackson, Ayatollah Khamenei, you know, he was the main impediment, blockage to certain people in the country that wanted to go completely all out, that wanted a nuclear bomb and wanted to be even more aggressive. So it's kind of an interesting dilemma right now. You've got a lot of reformists in power, but maybe they've changed a little bit. What do you make of the future of the leadership, especially coming out of this?
So imagine a month ago, the country was divided. The middle class are angry. Some of the working classes are also really kind of angry. The state is accused of having killed thousands of people. And so maybe if you would leave Iran to itself, reformists would get the upper hand because the state had to somehow make up to the public. And Iran is a country of always balancing between these forces. I mean, in 2009, when that was all.
So he's going into the beginning of the year when you had those protests. That was an authentic protest. You know, people were frustrated, you know, with the government, you know, and America and small hats, you know, they intervened and they caused those protests, you know, to become violent. You know, they started to destroy infrastructure, okay, and they roused up, you know, more of a outcry because what you had the youth see, what you see in guys like his age from Iran. You know, we listen to Professor Morandi a lot on this channel, but those guys like Professor Morandi, guys like his age, they was around when America sicked Iraq on Iran, and America equipped Iraq with chemical weapons on Iran that killed hundreds of thousands of Iranians, you know, in the 80s. Okay, so it's a lot of hatred pent up from the older generation of Iran. Okay, and that's why they was so with, all right, the revolution, the Ayatollah, because the Ayatollah was anti-America. Okay, but you had the younger generation that didn't live through that, okay, and they look at America and they were becoming enchanted. The youth of Iran was becoming enchanted with westernization, okay. They was becoming enchanted with it. Like you look at different TikTok, you see the women of Iran, because see Iran, they had to, because it was such an outcry, they had to because you had the mandatory hijab for the women. You know, it was mandatory. You had to have the hijab. Well, a few years ago, they had to lift, okay, their mandate of a mandatory hijab for women. So the women, the youth were becoming, because it started with the women. Once America can get the women to get out of pocket in the nation, it's over. All right, that's the beginning of the end of any nation. If America can get the women out of pocket, that's the beginning of the end for any nation. And they had started to do that, okay? Because all the youth know is, America being marketed as, the NFL, the sports, the music, the club, the nightlife, the this, the that, the influencers, the Instagram models, and so you had uh, the youth that was being westernized, and they were looking at the Ayatollah as old fashioned. Okay, so America in their mind, well, if we kill the supreme leader, because America is getting all this information from the CIA boots on the ground. They telling them like, look, the youth is being converted. The Ayatollah is becoming unpopular amongst the youth. Okay, so we can get a regime change. We can get a friendly, all right, American friendly government in, all right, and we can come in and just extort Iran, okay, and turn them into a vassal, because the whole thing was turning Iran into a vassal under these small hats in America, man. Okay, for this whole Greater Israel project, all right. But now when Trump killed the Ayatollah, okay, and made him a martyr, that was that what they did, that caused the youth to start looking at America different. And then 5 hours later, after they killed the Ayatollah, they came back and struck the elementary school. Okay, so now these people that didn't live through the Iraq War, the 80s, the youth, now they're seeing the wickedness of America firsthand. Now they understand their uncle and their granddad and their auntie and their mothers. Okay, now they understand why they had this hatred for America. Now they're seeing it firsthand. So now the youth in Iran, like, hey, they fully on board, to the point they're ready to die about this. Okay. So everything that America doing is working against them. Okay. So let's play a little more of this.
Uprising in Iran, and the reformists disputed the election, even though they got repressed. But then in 4 years' time, the state made up to them and allowed the candidate to become president. So this is a country of checks and balances. And or in 2022, when Women Life Freedom happened, even though they got repressed, but then after that, the state somehow let go of the mandatory hijab rules. So
that was in 2022 when they stopped the mandatory hijab. Okay, because it was such a, because remember, the youth they able to get on the internet, and you see, and and it's the whore. It's the, we go to Revelation 17:6. I mean, what was it, 6, I think, but it talks about how John, he admired the whore. He had admiration for the whore. So if Esau can get his internet, and your youth can get exposed to the internet, it's a strong enchantment on the young mind. So America was beginning to turn the young Iran. He was beginning to westernize the younger Iran that didn't live through the 80s. But now, like I say, what he's doing now they're seeing their classmates die. They're seeing their relatives die. And then they know that they didn't do nothing, because they know all the false accusations of America, saying that the Ayatollah is the biggest sponsor of terrorism. They know that's a falsehood. Okay. So they're saying that the West is waging war on them for nothing, and they're saying that the West has no mercy on anyone. So, like I said, now they galvanized their whole country together, man. You know.
There's a there are so many mechanisms of listening to people. But then now, in the time of war, in which IRGC is defending the country, the Tehran that we are talking about, 12 million, 10 million population, those people who were angry and did the uprising on 8th and 9th of January, they all have left Tehran. Tehran is in the hand of pro-state forces who are every night demonstrating, occupying the street, saying down with USA, and the bombs and rockets goes over their head, and they say, we don't care, we're looking for martyrdom, we don't care. So you basically, as I said, I mean, the level of Trump's stupidity, and thank God for that, is like beyond me, because if anyone wanted to bolster the Iranians' realists, or what Americans call them hardliners, couldn't have done a better job than this. In this environment, reformists have censored themselves. You don't have to even push them anywhere. They have all gone quiet because they don't dare to open their mouths. Normal, ordinary people will attack them. As I said, if you find Delcy Rodriguez, good luck. But his own or her own bodyguard will shoot him on the spot the moment he opens his mouth and he talks about ceasefire. The mood of the country.
Yeah, so he's like pretty much saying how, everybody want their revenge. They don't want no ceasefire. And see, everybody is trapped in because he's going to go into it. Donald Trump, all right, Trump and America, they're in a position to where they can't surrender and bag out because they look so weak. So they just got to keep fighting. And then Iran, that their whole population wants revenge. 94 million people, they want revenge. Okay, so Iran, they can't do a ceasefire, no time soon. Okay, or it'd be a crazy revolt against the government then. So the Lord got these nations locked in, man. That initial strike, okay, dealing with the killing of the Ayatollah, and then the killing of those schoolgirls, which these devils, these wicked devils, they always doing some type of sacrifice. So killing those schoolgirls, those they offer them up to Molech, okay, because they're Baal worshippers, okay. And there was a strike back also because Iran had just burnt the statue of Baal, saying, down with America, down with, all right, the small hats, okay. And what does America and the small hats answer with? They killed those young schoolgirls. And there was a sacrifice to Baal, man, to Molech, okay. And so what he's saying now, he said to run, they just out, they don't care. They all of them are ready to be martyrs like Ayatollah, man. Okay, so bombing these civilians, that's not crushing the morale. Okay, like he said, look, they're in the streets every night. They're getting bombed every night, but they in the streets every night. They like, I want to be a martyr anyway. You see, because Ayatollah, he done set the tone. You see, the Lord making moves to where he's putting a certain spirit on these heathens, man. To be on their assignment, man. Okay.
Country has changed. The country is like preparing itself for a proper 10 years war, a kind of apocalyptic war, war to the end, giving our blood. We are ready. So the level of altruism that we've seen in the country, the anger we've seen, the sorrow we've seen, itself is dictating to the upper classes and to the ruling class what to do. So I think in this social balance of power, IRGC and those who have been saying for the last 3 decades that we have to become stronger, we need to fight against Zionist enemy and push back America from the region, they will get the upper hand. They will get a popular mandate from people. And as we are talking, every single bomb and every single drone attack by Israel and America is pushing more layer, one after another, layer of the society towards this thinking. So I know people who said this to Khamenei on 8th of January, and yesterday they were telling me that Iran has to become nuclear. There is no other choice for Iran. So you can see this flipping.
Iran has to become nuclear. Okay. Iran has to become nuclear, man. Okay, and there's rumor that they're already testing nuclear bombs. Speculation. Okay, well, Iran has to become nuclear. You see, and where their news going first. All right, so the Lord is setting the stage for prophecy to be fulfilled, man. Because Khamenei, all right, the guy that they killed, the supreme leader, he was the only thing that was keeping Iran from making, okay, nuclear weapon, supposedly. Okay. But now they saying he's out of the way. So now all these hardliners that always wanted, Iran to be more aggressive against these small hats and against America in the region, now they're at the forefront. They're the one calling the shots now. Okay. So all America did was wake up the wild boar. Okay. They just woke up the wild boar. Okay. So let's play this.
In this fast way, and Israel and America should have known that if they thought with the algorithm and this genius new social warfare coming from Instagram and Twitter, they can flip people so quickly, they should have expected that this flip back again to where people have always been, and that's with the motherland. So I think they made a mistake in Russia. They thought Ukraine war will push people away from Putin. They were so wrong. Putin's popularity raised to the sky. And here, Khamenei's popularity, I think, got doubled over a night. And I think that's the main thing. So I prepared myself for a long war to come, and I'm just watching. And I'm expecting to see a lot of painful images. My family are there, my brother, my mom, my dad, my sister-in-law, my nephew, all my friends are the people I've worked with them that are there, and I'm worried about their life because we are dealing with a genocidal state, and we are dealing with America who's been taken as a hostage by this genocidal state. I think America is not a free country anymore, and I think that's important for people to understand. Iran is not only fighting for itself. Iran is not only fighting for Palestinians. Iran is not fighting only for Lebanese, not for Syrians, not for Iraqis. Iran is fighting to help people of the region not to lose the sovereignty to the Zionists, because Zionism is is like hacking countries and taking away the sovereignty. Look at America. Is America a sovereign country anymore or not? America, a superpower, the biggest superpower in the world history, with $1 trillion expenditure on its military every year, cannot make its own decisions. Its decisions are made in Tel Aviv. That's embarrassing.
So everybody knows the small hats, man. Everybody knows the small hats for all the havoc that's happening in the earth, man. Okay?
Same in Britain, the country I have lived for the last 25 years. The political affairs of this country, at least since 2015 and 16, increasingly have been taken in Tel Aviv. Look at that. When Keir Starmer came to power, a few days later, there was a riots on the street, which later investigative journalists came and said it was connected and provoked by Israelis.
These niggas everywhere. These niggas everywhere, man. Once you start taking back the layers, okay, of all the chaos and wickedness in the earth, man, you find this small hat on the scene, man. You niggas are everywhere, man, causing havoc. You see?
Tommy Robinson and the kind of Islamophobic far right. And then you go to every single one of these countries. So in a sense, I think Iran is...
So let's go from there, because I looked this up real quick because the scriptures speak about Iran being a wild boar. All right, those Carmanians raging like a wild boar. Okay. So let's go here. So when you go to it, it says I say, will a wild boar fight back aggressively if it's cornered? Okay. And the brother can post it as well. Second Esdras 14. It's like Second Esdras 15 verses 28 through 30 Baba Shah. Okay. We'll just go into it real quick. I just looked it up. So when you go into it, it says, yes, a wild boar will fight back aggressively if cornered, threatened, or wounded Yes, a wild boar will fight back aggressively if cornered, threatened, or wounded. Okay, so these wounds, constantly kill. That's a wound. You killed the supreme leader. That's a wound. You see, all these leaders, even going back to General Solomon, okay, in 2020, that's a wound. Okay, I believe it's like 10, million people, showed up for a funeral, man. That's a wound. You see, it said often charging with significant speed and force. They are known to use their razor sharp tusk, all right, to inflict serious injuries. And you can liken that to these ballistic missiles, man. You know, and it says to inflict serious injuries, particularly to the lower body. Aggression is highly likely, all right, if a sow is protecting piglets or during mating season. I guess that's the male boar. All right. It says key aggressive behaviors. When cornered, they often charge directly at the threat. They're going directly at the small hats and directly at America, man. Okay, they're going directly at them. You see? And it says when cornered, they often charge directly at the threat, sometimes jumping to knock people down. They can become extremely vicious in close quarters in their region. Okay, in their region, what they call the Middle East, in those close quarters, they hard to deal with. Okay, it says as noted in Sewanee River Ranch in this YouTube video. So it said repeated attacks. Damn, repeated attacks. If a victim falls, the boar might retreat and charge again. Okay, if the victim falls, the boar may retreat and charge again, man. And this is why I think they on their 25th wave. I think they're on their 25th wave of attacks, man, in this week. Okay. It says injured. It says injured or cornered. It said injured hogs are particularly uh, dangerous and likely to charge. Okay. So it said how to avoid the attack. It said always leave an escape route, and this is what America didn't do. Once they killed the supreme leader, they left no escape route. Okay. You see. So the Iran was in the corner, and the only thing they could do was fight back. Okay, which it lines up with what prophecy, man. Okay, so let's get this. All right. And I say this is just the beginning, man. It only gets worse for Esau, man. Okay, but let's get this here. See, brother got it. Yep. So this is the brother Amar Kabal, 2nd Ezra 15:28. It says, "Behold, an horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east." Okay, a horrible vision, man, because it's gonna get very destructive over there in that region, man. It says where the nations of the dragons of Arabia. It says 2nd Ezra 15:29 says where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Okay, and because what's happening is going to force these Gulf nations, okay, to jump ship. Okay, they're gonna switch sides, man. They're gonna flip, and that's the thing with war too. In the middle of war, alliances switch. Because you go into World War One, World War Two, might go into that another day. But alliances switch in the middle of war. Okay, you see. So the Gulf Arabs, okay, which are allied with, America, hey, they're gonna switch, man. All right, because they're gonna see that there's no benefit in being an ally to America, and they seeing that America don't give a damn about them, man. Okay, verse 30 says, also the Carmanians raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boar of the wood. With great power shall they come and join battle with them and shall waste a portion of the land. okay, on the land of the Assyrians, okay, which the Assyrians are modern day America, man. Okay, so an extension of America, those bases over there, okay, all that military hardware that America's got and is being wasted, man. Okay, and when all these nations shoot nukes, okay, don't be surprised if Iran has missiles that's going to reach America. We know they're going to tear the top out of small hats. You know, the state of Israel, they're done. Okay, they're finished. They was never the IDF was never a contender. Okay, they was never a superpower. They was just a bully. All right, to those to their region. Well, first and foremost, because they had all that military hardware, so they can bully Syria, you know, Egypt. Okay, they can bully them. All right, well, they was never no true contender with an actual military, man. Okay, so that's why you see them become a non-factor quick. Okay, they became a non-factor in a few days. You see, but we know that it's gonna go from destroying American military assets in their region to destroying the land of America itself, man. All right, and what America did has activated the wild boar. Okay, and they can't get that nigga off of them. You see, so that's the point. I leave it there. Lord will, you brothers. All right, and you sisters, edify. Till next time, I say shalom. Yashala, Bob, soon, shalom.